Purdue will travel back to Holly Springs, North Carolina again this weekend to take on Akron in a 4-game series after yet another very successful weekend in Holly Springs as the Boilermakers took 4 games against Niagara. Kyle Charters with Ben Turner and the head baseball coach Greg Goff for this week in Purdue baseball. Coach, it was another successful weekend in Holly Springs. You played there a number of years now, 19-4 all time in North Carolina at that location. But it was a good weekend, not only sweeping Niagara, but I think the way in which you did it was impressive.
No doubt, it's always fun to get back over there. I think it's, again, another great place to go. We feel like it's home. I think it's really important for the consistency part of it, and our guys know we're going to stay in the same hotel, got the same schedule, and it's our home field, for a lot of ways. And just amazing how we get over there, and there's snow this week over there. And, when I walked out on the field on Friday about 1, I thought we had no chance of playing, but I just want to say a shout out to Jay and Robert and all those folks over there at Holly Springs that got that field and that snow off that allowed us to play. We couldn't have done it without them.
The offense exploded for 42 runs over the weekend. The defense pitching gave up only 9. After the first couple of games of the season down in Texas, the offense was a little bit quiet, but came alive in the second 2 games in Texas, and then certainly was all this weekend, sort of starting to meet your expectations for what this group team can do.
We are, we still have some guys that are struggling, to be honest with you, that we were counting on. So the great thing about this team is that our depth, and there's some guys that have stepped up in those opportunities and made the most of it. Lucas Cook is one. Eli Anderson was another guy that went in this weekend, hadn't started the first weekend, and had some really good BP and really showed up and got in there and did well. So, the great thing about our team is we have some depth, and really excited about that part of it, Kyle, to be honest with you.
Kudos to the pitching staff as well. Only gave up 9 runs, like Kyle said. That was the fewest in a 4-game series since 2016. But most impressive stat, I thought, 55 strikeouts versus 24 hits allowed, more than 2-1. I mean, in 36 innings, that's dominant. It
is, Ben, and I can't say enough about how Coach Newman has done with those guys, really getting those guys to buy into, pitching to contact and getting ahead and throwing a lot of strikes, and I think that's been the biggest thing for us so far, is that our pitchers have competed really well, and they have filled up the strike zone. And, with the defense that we have behind them, I mean, why would you not want to challenge hitters? We made some really nice plays this weekend, and I think that really allows those pitchers to feel confident about, getting in that zone.
Yeah, whether they're underclassmen or new guys, you had definitely some pitchers step up on the mound. I guess I would highlight Easton Story, Braden Olson, Joe Trineri, and Gavin Buter. It felt like those 4 really specifically, from my view in the press box, jumped out at me for what they did with their opportunities. And every pitcher only took the mound once. You don't see that very often in a 4-game series.
There's no doubt. That was a blessing for us to do that. And there were some guys that didn't throw that, were a little sore. So, again, you can't say enough about those young guys. Our pitching staff, a lot of them are young, and to see Easton Story continue his development, I thought it was kind of his coming out party Saturday, throwing 3 pitches for strikes. Velo, was really good, but adding that change up and equalizing those counts and some positive, and some hitters counts, I thought was amazing to see those guys swing and miss the way they did. Again, I just can't say enough about him, but getting Joe the first start of his career and punch out the side to start.
Oof,
I don't think my career started that way. So,
that was impressive.
Probably gave up 3 home runs, but it was really impressive to see that. We do have some good young arms, and Josh does a great job of developing those guys.
8-0 in the season, one of 14 teams in the country that are still undefeated. One guy that's been a big part of that is our guest for the player segment today, Brandon Anderson, the transfer from Louisville. He's been great for you this season. Really has been great. Recently was really solid in Holly Springs. He gives you another bat in the middle of that lineup that can drive home some runs.
He really does. I just can't say enough about just his character and who he is. His mom's a softball coach down in Eastern Kentucky. Got a chance to meet her on the visit, and he just comes from a baseball, from an athletic family. And when I saw him, I'll be honest with you, I see a lot of people through the portal and stuff like that, and most of the time the assistants may call him. But when I saw his name in the portal, I remembered him from when we played him in the fall, and I just did some background research on him and knew what kind of kid he was. I called him myself. Like I felt like he was a guy we really needed, a guy that was a culture guy, that was a hard worker, come from a coach's background, and so we were very fortunate. I was excited when he ended up committing to us.
Another guy who had a big weekend, Logan Sutter, particularly in one game. I mean, what an amazing performance, maybe one of the best performances in Purdue history, which is saying a lot. 6 for 6, 14 total bases, a couple of home runs, a couple of doubles. To do all that in one game, it's hard to do in a whole weekend, but to do it all in one game, man. What a performance, and what a performance he has gotten off to start this season, the first couple of weekends.
Yeah, he's been great. I got yelled at. Hits a double in the right center gap, and I'm, putting my arms up to hold him, and the dugout starts yelling at me like, "Coach, you got to triple for the cycle." I'm like, man, I don't even think about that stuff. But they started razzing me about that a little bit. But other than that, just great to see Logan continue to do what you do. It's hard. It's hard to hit, and he's made it look pretty easy the last 2 weekends. And again, just a great senior leader that has worked really hard, and really proud of the way he's gotten his body in shape, the way he looks, the way he feels, the way he plays. He's played third, he's DH, he's played first, and he still hits. So really, really happy with that.
And then your lineup needs a lot of different types of pieces, whether it's Sutter and Anderson, left-right combination in the middle, or your leadoff man, Albert Choi, who really seems to like Holly Springs. And thankfully he did it for us this time instead of against us 2 years ago when he was with NJIT. Right. But on base 12 times as your leadoff man. Looked good in center field, too. Made a very good catch early in that game Sunday after Trineri had struck out the side. I think the first ball they hit in the second inning had extra bases written all over it, and he ran it down. So a really good second weekend for a new Boilermaker at the top of the order.
No doubt. What a great guy to coach. Just a great kid. And we were leaving Holly Springs on Sunday, and he goes, "I love this place." Yeah, I would love it too. The numbers you put up, you've been All-American, you played here every day. So, but just again, I thought his swing was in a really good place this weekend. He continues to start getting more comfortable. He's a new guy, although he's probably 30, I think, older than all of us. But he's great. He's great to be around. But I thought the catch he made going in that left center gap was pretty amazing. Had to go a long way. He made another catch on Friday night that I think a lot of people forgot about. That he went to the left center gap and caught it on the warning track. That he's been good. He's been good so far for us.
All right, so then your big bopper in the middle of the lineup, C.J. Richmond. We all knew what he was capable of. The Indy native, Park Tudor product. Man, those 2 home runs he hit Sunday. It was like, okay, that's what we've been waiting to see. Both were no doubters, both to right field. One hit the road above the bullpen. Yeah. But most important, it was 1-0 Niagara when he hit the first one, and it was 2-1 Purdue when he hit the second one. So it's not like those were in garbage time.
No, it was big for us. We had just given up the lead. He came back, and I think somebody may have got a hit or walk in front of him, and then, he hits the 2-run bomb to what we call, good teams answer. And we answered right back, and I think that took the steam out of them a little bit, to be honest with you, Ben. And then he came up again and extended the lead for us. Just a great hitter, great player, great person that we're, again, fortunate to have transfer in and be a really good part of. He's just a great guy to be around as well, as you guys are around us when we're eating and stuff like that at the hotel. Just got a smile on his face all the time and brings just such positive energy for our program.
Akron this weekend, you'll take on the Zips down there in Holly Springs once again. What can you tell us about Akron and looking forward to getting back on another road trip?
We are. We're excited to get back down there. I do want to, I do have to shout out for Drew Charters. I mean, Drew, he felt like he was the difference this weekend, stepping in for you, Kyle. So I had to give a definite shout out for him. His record is pretty good. So
7-1 in Holly Springs.
He's
now.
7-1 in Holly Springs there, Kyle. So, but we're looking forward to getting down and playing Akron. It's early in the year, so it's really hard to see. I've watched them play the first 2 weekends, and they got some guys on the mound. Got a couple guys who can really pitch, and a couple of guys at the top of the lineup we'd like to have. So they'll be really solid, and again, we just got to show up and play Boilermaker baseball, put some pressure on people. The one thing I was doing this morning was kind of figuring up our freebie war. We talk about that all the time, just the walks and the errors, the stolen bases, and the hit by pitches. And through our first 8 games, we are plus 60 on that, and that's how you win when you don't out-hit people or make some plays and stuff like that. And just really pleased with our guys and how they bought into that.
Drew will definitely appreciate the shout-out.
Sure. Awesome. Awesome.
All right. Have a good weekend again down there in Holly Springs. Keep it rolling. It's certainly been a great start to the season. We'll take a quick break here. We'll bring in Brandon Anderson. We'll talk to the veteran infielder. We'll do that here coming up next on This Week in Purdue Baseball. Brandon Anderson joins us on This Week in Purdue Baseball, the veteran third baseman for the Boilermakers, who has been off to a hot start, to say the least, especially here recently. 6 consecutive games with multiple hits, including all 4 games in Holly Springs against Niagara. You scored 8 runs in North Carolina as well. You must be feeling pretty good at the plate.
Yeah, no, I feel solid. I feel like the first couple of games, as a whole hitting staff, were pressing a little bit, just maybe a little bit of nerves. And, we kind of got recentered and told to keep it simple and trust our approach, trust our game plan, trust the preparation and work that we put in. So I feel like that helped us settle in, and you saw that with a lot of better performances, I feel like, overall as hitters this weekend. But I think it all started with the pitching. It's a lot easier to hit when the pitchers did what they did this weekend, and when they're putting up consistent zeros, and even if they give up a couple of runs, they put a 0 back on the board. It's a lot easier to hit. It takes the pressure off us.
A grand slam in game 2. Home run is nice. Grand slam even better. What is your approach when you come to the plate with an RBI opportunity like that?
Yeah, I would say keep it simple. Use the middle of the field. I think I came up earlier in that game with the bases loaded and with 2 outs, and I think flew out. So I came back up without a bat, and I was like, all right, I got to pick these up, get these stakes. So just keep it simple. Trust what I'm doing, and look for a heater. And got a heater later in the count. Fought off some tough pitches and got my fastball. Put a good swing on it.
Played your first 3 years at Louisville. Was that your first collegiate grand slam?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, that has to be quite the feeling. You had a few in high school, I assume. But as Kyle said, there's home runs and then there's grand slams. They have different names for a reason. So that was a cool moment in Holly Springs. You were an all-state shortstop in high school in Kentucky. Played primarily third base and first base at Louisville. Seems like you've settled in now at third. It's such an important part of the defense, perhaps the most underrated position out there. How are you feeling out there defensively? Is there a comfort level now after 4 years of college ball?
Oh yeah, 100%. As a high school shortstop, I've never been the fastest guy, and I was a little bit skinnier, probably a little quicker in high school. And then when I got to college, they were like, "Yeah, you're too slow to play shortstop." So you moved to the corners, and that I honestly prefer that. I don't have to worry about the range as much, and I feel like I've always trusted my arm and my glove, and I feel like that's a big part of third, is just trusting your glove and then using your arm strength. So very comfortable over there, and I enjoy it, and it's really easy to play infield with guys like Lucas Cook and Cam Gasser over there, that can cover a lot of ground, and both of them great shortstops, so it's very comforting.
In many ways, the pitching staff didn't really make it too tough on you guys this past weekend. When they strike out 55 guys over 36 innings, it's not a lot of balls in play for you guys to have to handle. I mean, they really brought their A game for that Niagara series.
Yeah, I was super impressed, and I feel like with the pitching staff, one thing I've noticed that have grown so much throughout the fall to now is, there was a lot of guys that showed flashes of really good stuff in the fall that you knew that they could make an impact. But I feel like since the spring has started, every guy that's ran out there on the mound has had that killer instinct and really trusted their stuff, been very confident. And it's really exciting to see as an infielder that guys are filling up the zone, especially as a defender. It's a little bit, you hate to just sit there and when guys are walking dudes, you get a little bit flat-footed. So when pitchers are filling up the zone, like you said, they're striking out a lot of guys. So it's like we weren't doing too much, but they're filling up the zone. You got to be ready. So it makes the game, a little bit more engaging.
You had a really good weekend at the plate. One of your teammates, Logan Sutter, had a really good day at the plate. 6 for 6 in one game with 14 total bases. You've seen a lot of baseball over your career. This one has to rank by a teammate up there among the best performances you've seen, I would imagine.
Oh man, 100%, 100%. Yeah, no, it's especially reigning Big Ten Player of the Week. They know that he's a super dangerous guy up there at the plate, and
yeah.
I feel like I'm either hitting in front of him or behind him, which is great protection. And if they don't want to pitch to him, then you got to pitch to me. You got to throw me strikes, and so I love hitting behind him. But yeah, 100%. That's crazy. I think he was hitting behind me that game, so as I was getting on base, it's like, well, I better get ready to run because he's about to hit one in the gap or over the wall, which I prefer, so I can just jog around the bases. So, no, it's super impressive. He's seeing beach balls up there.
You obviously took on a lot of good competition at Louisville. starting your career down south a little bit, made the transition here to Purdue. Just what has that been like for you?
Oh, it's been great. I feel like the culture here, the support staff has amazed me, from the athletic trainer Casey to our strength coach, Coach Webb, to the managers, to Coach Goff's passion, to every little thing. I feel like there's so many people that are bought in for us, that truly care about us, and it makes it really easy for us to play here, and a lot of resources for us to succeed. And also another big part of it is when I came on my visit here to Purdue, West Lafayette is a lot more like my hometown, so it feels more like home. Like a smaller, kind of more intimate college town, which is a little bit different than Louisville, which I can really appreciate.
Richmond, Kentucky, your hometown, son of the softball coach there at EKU. So I could see how those comparisons would be fitting there with West Lafayette. Meanwhile, as a first-year Boilermaker, like we've discussed, you've now seen Constellation Field in Sugar Land and Ting Stadium in Holly Springs. Maybe compare and contrast those a little bit for us. In some ways, in my mind, Sugar Land sets up a little bit more like Alexander Field. Maybe Ting Stadium a little bit more like Jim Patterson Stadium, where you played at Louisville, with all artificial turf.
Mm-hmm.
Have any preferences there on the all natural versus artificial? You seem to like both of them. You hit well at both of them.
I would say, the all natural, you can't get enough of that. I feel like it's prettier, I think, in my opinion. It's a little bit easier on the body. I feel like an old guy, so the knees and the back, and just playing on that natural surface is nice. But there's nothing like Alexander. I can't wait to get out there. I saw the ball pretty well at Ting Stadium. I'm excited to go back there and looking forward. I think a lot of the guys like playing there, and especially since there's guys in previous years that they go there every year. We go there every year, so there's guys that are comfortable and like playing there. So I'm excited.
A lot of new experiences for you this year, but one that we've asked guys in the last couple of weeks more excited for in the coming weeks. Playing Minnesota inside the Vikings Stadium, or the trip out west to Seattle, a place that Purdue baseball's never been.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would probably say the Viking Stadium. It's not every day you get to say that you played baseball in a football stadium. So, I would say that one is super exciting, and kicking off Big Ten play there will be a treat for sure.
Ben earlier mentioned your mom. She started that program at Eastern Kentucky a while ago. I think you said, 1993?
Yeah.
She's been the coach since then, more than 900 wins. Just an impressive career, obviously. I would imagine that has influenced you. You probably spent a lot of time on softball and baseball fields then as a youth. Just what was that like, being part of those programs when you're growing up?
Yeah, I think it's super easy to appreciate, the intricacies of the game, baseball and softball, when you grow up with a Hall of Fame coach in your house.
Yeah.
She said, she would always tell me when I was 4 or 5 years old, I'd be in the dugout with her telling her to take this pitcher out, So I feel like a lot of my love and passion for the game and appreciation for the game, not just as a player, but being able to see like how a coach thinks. And it's one of the big reasons I want to coach after my playing career.
Yeah.
Is because of her. And, being able to have that perspective as a coach, really centers me as a player and, allows for me to see the bigger picture, which I appreciate very much.
Yeah.
You touched on some of the pitchers earlier, but I wanted to give you a chance to maybe shout out some teammates in conjunction with maybe highlight some of the pitchers who have been kind of a tough matchup for you. That we had pitchers on the last couple of weeks, and Dorn and Valone, and they gave it from the pitcher point of view on hitters, and I'm pretty sure you got mentioned on one of those weeks. So from the opposite side, from a hitter perspective, who was some of the kind of tough ones in fall ball and preseason practice?
Sure. I would say Easton Story is a big one. Lefty. He's got that exploding fastball, big curveball. He's always tough at bat. You got to be ready for him. Lefty. He's coming right at you. And he looked great this weekend. Gavin Buter definitely gave me some trouble in the fall. He's just kind of a sneaky guy. He had a great weekend too. He's got a really good sinker and very underrated slider in my opinion. Those are the two big ones I can remember that were tougher at bats that are fun.
How about some shout-outs for guys in the lineup that maybe were flying under the radar with what Sutter did, what you did, the Richmond home runs, etc., who deserves some love on This Week in Purdue Baseball?
I think table setter Albert Choi is a big one. The offense starts with him, and when he's getting on base, when he's hitting low line drives, when he can bunt, when he can run, causes a lot of havoc. Eli Anderson looked great, with his first couple starts. I was super impressed that, it's easy to get a little discouraged if you're not playing the first couple of games, and he was obviously very much ready and had been preparing. So that was really cool to see because he's one of those guys, too, that can just cause mayhem, put balls on the turf and and he can really run from the left side too. So I think those two guys, the table setters, will be really big for us as an offense overall going forward.
All right, we'd like to learn more about you in the personal preferences segment. There are no wrong answers, as I like to say, but we do have you pick a number, and this week we're between 1 and 29.
Okay. Let's do 8. I'll start with 8.
Everybody likes to pick their number. Current MLB pitcher you'd most like to face?
Okay. I would say Emmanuel Clase, the closer for the Guardians. Over my college career, I've had a lot of success against hard-throwing righties. Probably one of my favorite pitchers to face, and he's got an electric arm and that cutter, and I think if I swing before he releases the ball, I might have a chance. I think that would be a lot of fun.
You don't hear a lot of relief pitchers highlighted in that question. Usually it's starters, so that's cool. He did have quite the season to help the Guardians make the ALCS this past year. All right, between 1 and 29, don't pick 8.
Let's go 14.
14. A TV or online show or series you can't stop watching?
Ooh. Breaking Bad is a big one. Albert Choi and I are big fans of that one, and a lot of guys have seen that. And that's a really fun one. I'm a big fan of Dexter. That's a really good one.
They rebooted Dexter, I saw in a couple of years. That was interesting to see.
Yeah.
And Breaking Bad is very rewatchable, too. And that's how you know it was an elite show. Last one, between 1 and 29, don't pick 7, don't pick 8, don't pick 14.
Let's go 25.
25. All right, pick one for a vacation. Beaches, mountains, or an extended road trip?
Not a big beach guy. Don't like the sand or the salt water. I'd probably have to say mountains because I grew up on the lake, and maybe there'll be a lake in there. I like boating, I like tubing and wakeboarding. I have a lot of good memories as a child doing that with my family and friends. So yeah, probably mountains.
Do you have any skiing experience?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, more of a wakeboarding guy, but
enough.
I can ski a little bit too.
All right, so Akron this weekend back down in Holly Springs. You guys obviously rolling through the first couple of weekends to start this year. How do you keep it going?
Yeah, I would say there's 3 big facets I always think about to keep the game simple. Don't make it bigger than it is. Don't make it complicated. I would say throw strikes is one. Play good defense. Have good at-bats. If you do those 3 things, which I feel like we've done the first 2 weeks, you're going to get put in very good positions to win a lot of games. So I think we keep doing that. We'll be smooth sailing.
Yeah. Well, best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
All right, that'll do it for our show for this week. Of course, we'll have a podcast every week talking to a coach and the player throughout the season. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Greg Goff and Brandon Anderson, for Ben Turner and producer Corey Palm. I'm Kyle Charters. Thanks for watching this week.